planted about 24 years ago by Southern Baptist. Senior plant, like the lead planter was here probably 18, 19 years. So we got here October 2019, and then COVID hit about 3 months later. So we've been here longer than we've been able to move forward. Our normal pre-COVID was about 150. Right now we see about 80 to 100. We've seen most of our core families have come back. And so people are excited to worship, and then they really have responded to God's word. So preaching and responding in multiple ways to the authority of the scriptures. So on top of that, we're trying to think through now how do we get them on mission, which is how the church started in the community. In our neighborhood, about 3,000 homes. So it's unlimited what we have the ability to tap into. So a lot of population, but it looks like woods. So how do we uniquely get them on mission in the everyday, and as a church reach into our community, make our name known for Christ. Our community here, even though we're right outside of a very liberal city, we're a very conservative community. So it's a very conservative area, mostly blue collar, although it is changing because the city is expanding outward. We're really becoming more and more of a suburb of Portland. So a lot more people than in normal New England have heard the truth of the gospel, but still outside. There's a barrier there between them and the church. What we generally find is that when we have work projects, things, if we can help them when they're hurting or in need, those walls come down and people really are more receptive to the gospel. So our church, we're blessed. Our church has a long history of serving community. So we have a good name in the community, but in the last years with COVID, with the senior pastor leaving and then the other pastor coming in, our name in the community has kind of come down because we haven't been as effective at reaching out. So we have the opportunity to really impact, and we have a good track record with people. When they hear our name, they think positive. We think was really effective early on was there was a commitment to prayer, and so teams would come, they would pray over our neighborhoods, they would pray through our streets of our community, and God just did a miraculous thing here. I mean, the church grew fast, hundreds of people came to faith. So there was really a movement of God here that we attribute to the early prayers. And so one of the things that we really long for is teams to come and just saturate our community with the prayers, because it's one of the things in New England that is different than the South. In the South, people, it's hard there as well, but there are just more praying people. So that's certainly something that can be done. There's always work projects that can be done in our facility or around our facility. That's a given. Any facility has work to do. As well as talking about outreach, there's tons of outreach opportunities, whether it be a sports camp, whether it's just community serving. So we have different projects we can do in our community where we just go into businesses and serve them, working in our community. So we have a week where we want to serve and ask our city what we could clean up or what we could fix, or come in with an open mind of what the people will be like. Be flexible, because things change quick on mission trips. They might be surprised how receptive people are, and how, if they've never been to Maine, it's very Southern culture feel at its surface. But then getting past that would be a little bit more challenging than a normal Southern context. Okay. Yeah. So one of the ways we always ask for prayer is that spiritual warfare in New England, when we moved from the South to the North, the spiritual warfare burden was extremely higher. So pray for spiritual protection, for God to protect us from the attack of the enemy. In our church, probably as all churches leaders, we had a big, because of everything that happened with the church, most of the leadership isn't here anymore. And so we're really trying to retrain leaders from within our church, and praying that God would send us leaders as well. So leaders so that we can prepare for the harvest. We really want to see a harvest. There's been years of sowing seed, but there hasn't been a move of God like we saw in years past. So we want to see, not only in our church, but in our other community churches, for God to really do a miraculous work, like another great awakening which started in New England.